What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Thursday night live stream, and well, we got the big one for the HasLab H.I.S.S tank, HasLab H.I.S.S tank campaign stretch goal number 4, finally revealed, and it was a whopper. I think Hasbro really surprised at least me. I was thinking Cobra Commander after yesterday's tease, but I was really kind of expecting something more like, just a reuse of the existing Cobra Commander, hood notwithstanding. That's a custom, but that's really what I was kind of expecting. But instead, we got the big vintage like Cobra Commander, so which is what a lot of people were asking for. So I definitely think that was pretty cool. So just in case you guys have missed it, because this was literally just announced like an hour or so ago. So classified classic like Cobra Commander with the battle helmet. But again, I don't think there's any chance Hasbro's going to be doing hoods these days. But classic vintage collection Cobra Commander with the hairdryer blowgun and even the little thing on his back to hold it. You get some pretty cool accessories with the snake around the globe. That's a tribute to the original Parker Brothers advertisement for the G.I. Joe video game. So that's cool. A dagger, some multiple hands. And then, yeah, and it'll be on a retro card back. Now, one thing I want to note here, because I've already seen some people be like, man, this is going to suck for people who don't want to have to buy the H.I.S.S tank. They're now not going to be able to get this classic Cobra Commander. And I can't say this for sure, but my suspicion is that, you'll notice this one that they're releasing through HasLab has this, what was deemed back in the day as the Mickey Mouse Cobra symbol. This Cobra symbol that looks like has Mickey Mouse ears. It's not the standard Cobra symbol that we see on most toys. So this is a tribute for those not familiar, and I never heard about this as a kid, but for those not familiar, the original Cobra Commander was done as a mail away, and the initial production run had this messed up Cobra symbol on it, which came to be known as the Mickey Mouse symbol. So it's that, and it's a rare figure. If you can find a Cobra Commander in good condition with that symbol on it, it is deemed pretty rare for vintage collectors, but it's the Mickey Mouse variant is what it's known as. So I suspect Hasbro has a regular version, this figure with a regular Cobra symbol that they're going to release. My thinking is probably maybe it's one of the 2 remaining figures for that Walmart exclusive retro collection line. Though, I don't know that for sure, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking probably the last 2 figures in that Walmart line is going to be Duke and Cobra Commander. So, again, this version of Cobra Commander with just the regular symbol as opposed to the Mickey Mouse symbol is what I'm kind of thinking. All right, I know we jumped right in. I was so excited about, today's HasLab reveal. And I'd gotten to the point where I wasn't expecting Hasbro to, I figured they were going to wait until like tomorrow. I was thinking maybe they were going to wait till the thing hit like 15,000 backers. And, without the reveal, that was going to take a little while. So I was like, yeah, they're not even going to show that today. And then, late this afternoon, they put it up there. So, and right now the campaign has started to move up in a steadily fashion again. It still hasn't broken 15,000, but it's at 14,976. So I'm sorry, 980 actually. So that's the current. That's where it is currently. But I suspect at the very latest by tomorrow it will surpass the 16,000 backers needed to include the Cobra Commander figure. So. Not 100% yet till it reaches 16,000, but there's very little doubt in my mind that that's going to happen, that's not going to happen. So, I think it's pretty much a done deal. All right, let's just do a little roll call like usual. I saw Blake was in the house, so and Blake, I guess, is now going to have to back this thing. You better, man. This is like one of the best in my opinion, this is like one of the best HasLabs that Hasbro has done, and one of the best run, to be absolutely honest. I thought maybe they dragged their feet a little bit with the reveals of some of the tiers, but overall, I think they've done a really good job with it. So, yeah, Blake, you better at least one, maybe more, because you know what? This is the way I look at it. This is an investment as much as anything, because this is going to be something that's going to only go up in value, not down. So, yeah, I know some people are looking at it saying, yeah, $300, even though now you get not one, not two, but assuming we get over the 16,000, we're going to get 4 different 6-inch classified figures, plus the side missiles, plus the extra canopy piece and the covers for the treads, plus the extra guns. And I would not be surprised if, when all is said and done, Hasbro comes out and says something like, yeah, just as a thank you, we're going to throw in some blast effects. They teased blast effects that you'd be able to put into the turrets when they first announced this last week. So I would not be shocked in any way if they come out after we break the 16,000 and say, hey, as a thank you, we're going to throw in these extra blast effect pieces that will attach to the tank. We'll have to wait and see if they do that, but I would not be surprised. But I feel like, I felt like this was pretty much worth the money when they first announced it with just the tank and the figure. But now I feel like there's just, again, it's one thing if you just, things are tight for you and it's not in your budget to spend $300 for something like this. That I totally understand. But anyone trying to say that this is not worth $300, again, when it was first announced with just the tank and the one figure, I thought this was a pretty good value. But now with like 4 figures and all the extra stuff, 100% this is worth every penny of $300. But I feel like that Cobra Commander figure alone is probably, and I'm not recommending people do this, however, I know people will do this, is they'll buy the tanks and they will probably army build the tanks and then sell off, they'll keep 1 or 2 of the Cobra Commander figures and then they'll sell off, they'll buy like 5, you can buy up to 5 tanks. And some people I'm sure will circumvent that and buy even more. But you're supposed to be able to buy up to 5 tanks. So if you bought 5 tanks and you wanted to army build the tanks, keep 1 or 2 of the Cobra Commanders, because you might want to keep 1 so you can open it, and keep 1 so you can keep it on the retro card back. But then you can turn around and probably sell those the remaining 3 or 4 Cobra Commander figures for, I mean, again, I don't know if I'd pay this much money for it, but I would not be surprised if on eBay you're going to see that Cobra Commander figure selling anywhere between $100 and $200. And as time goes on, right now when people can still back it, but a couple years down the road when this is only available in the secondary market, and it's probably going to be going for 2 or 3 times the $300 cost of it now, people are going to just be wanting to buy that Cobra Commander figure. So, I mean, if you want to look at it as an investment that way, to kind of try and justify spending that much for something, I think that is a reasonable thing, a way to look at it. And it's not really scalping, because it's not like if I buy 5, you can't buy 5. It's a made to order, so everybody can buy 5 if they want to. So it's not like in a case where you're going out and cleaning out the shelves so that you can then turn around and resell it for a high price. And if you want to buy 5 and then later on try and sell it for more money, I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to try and do. And if people are willing to pay for it, then there you go. I don't think they said they're producing blast effects. They said that they were going to include holes on the turret for you to attach blast effects, is what they said in the initial live stream. And I don't think they've mentioned blast effects since then. So they haven't specifically, I mean, one would assume if you're going to specifically make holes so that you can attach blast effects, to it that you're going to include some blast effects, but as of right now, they have not mentioned blast effects, which is why I kind of feel like they're going to come out at the end and say, oh, and as a thank you addition, we're going to throw in these added blast effects for you. Well, Ben, I mean, you got to look at it that not everybody has a budget where they can just go out and easily spend $300 for something like this. So, you know, especially with things right now with like high inflation, high gas prices and all that. But a couple years from now, you know, somebody could have a better job, or, you know, things are just as expensive as they are right now or what have you. And so they have more money down the road. And so they would then, you know, be in a better position to be able to add this to their collection. Unfortunately, that would mean that they're going to have to pay more than what we're paying. But there are definitely, I think, legitimate reasons for why somebody might not buy it now, but then a couple years down the road or what have you, be interested in trying to add it to your collection. Like for instance, and I haven't done this, and I'm probably not, but like I constantly in my mind, like I did not get the Masters of the Universe Classics Castle Grayskull or Snake Mountain play sets because I didn't have the space. And at the time that, at least the Snake, I don't remember the Castle Grayskull, but when the Snake Mountain came out, you know, money was a little bit tight and I didn't get it. Now, I still haven't gotten one because I still really don't have the space to display one. And right now those go for, each of those go for about $1,000, a little bit more than $1,000. So, but I definitely have considered it, you know, getting at least one or two of those play sets, even though back when they originally, you know, I'm going to have to pay more for it now because it's on the secondary market. But I just, for whatever reason, wasn't in a position to buy them when they first, you know, got released. And so, you know, now I could. I'm still basically what's keeping me, the main reason is space. I mean, I've got a Thunder Tank coming. I've got Galactus coming. I'm going to have this HISS tank coming. You know, space is just becoming a premium with these really large items. But 3M. Do I think places like Big Bad Toys? I will tell you that at least initially, no. I won't say never, but don't expect like a Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth to carry them in the very near future. But, you know, I want to say maybe they did with the Sentinel. But if not them, there definitely will be others that will offer, you know, will end up selling it on the secondary market. And I mean, that helps us because that helps, you know, when somebody's out there buying, you know, 5, even if they're planning on just reselling all 5 of them at a later date, all that's doing is just increasing the counter so that we get to those stretch goals, you know, and the added additions even faster. So, you know, like I said, in this case, you know, I have no problem with people who want to buy these things. And then, you know, even if their plan is to resell them at a later date at a higher price. Joseph thinks they should have extra tiers and have a G.I. Joe hack like this guy. That would be funny. You know, and they might, I mean, you can tell that they've been kind of having fun with, you know, the initial video that they put up with Cobra Commander when they launched the campaign. I mean, I gotta be, if you go back, it's on the HasLab H.I.S.S page. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you do. But the guy that got to do that Cobra Commander voice, you know, is very dead on to the original. So, but they've been having a lot of fun with the, you know, the writing the copy for the announcements and everything. So I would not be surprised if they didn't do something like that. But yeah, well, I mean, well, I agree. It was not cheap, and then, but now, if I want to, if either of us wanted to add Snake Mountain to our collections because we didn't get it back then, you know, I guarantee you probably, if it was complete and everything, you'd be spending over $1,000 for that thing. So that's why I say these things generally only go up in price, not down. So they are an investment of type. So yeah, they didn't. And they didn't, I don't think they had the Sentinel like when like during the campaign. I think maybe later on they sold a limited number of them. I want to say, I won't swear to that, but I do seem to want to recall the Sentinel. But I'm pretty sure they're not able to sell those. Those are, Hasbro's basically said to the retailers that they work directly with that you can't resell this HasLab campaign, at least while it's an active campaign, because they don't, I guess they don't want the competition or the confusion. One thing I'm curious about that I've not seen them talk about at all is whether they're going to make it available any place, for those outside the US who don't have access to HasLab. HasLab or Hasbro Pulse has expanded to places outside of the US and Canada, but still, not everywhere in the world can buy something off of the Hasbro Pulse website. So usually they will reach out to certain retailers that are like a Zavvi or something and arrange to sell these items through those retailers. But I've not seen any mention of that with the H.I.S.S tank so far. So I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but I would kind of think they would. But, and this thing's been, this thing, I mean, I have to figure they did not expect this thing to be practically fully funded with all the stretch goals in a week. I mean, this thing only launched a week ago. It was last Wednesday this thing launched, and we are basically 1,000 away from unlocking all the stretch goals. So I think they were definitely surprised about how popular. I figured they knew this was going to get backed. I don't think was a lot of doubt that this wouldn't get backed. But my guess is they were not expecting this thing to get back nearly as quickly as it has. Austin, you can ask all you want for an alternate hooded head, but I just don't think there's any chance that Hasbro's going to do that. Um, because I mean, all we have is Brian Flynn, who made it known like a year ago that Hasbro would not allow him to do a hooded Cobra Commander figure for the G.I. Joe Ultimates line, essentially because Hasbro's afraid that people will associate the hood with the KKK, which I feel is kind of ridiculous. I mean, yes, Cobra Commander is a bad guy. He's a terrorist. He's not a good guy in any way. If Cobra Commander was a real life person, he would probably murder and slaughter people in a heartbeat. So, I mean, Cobra Commander is a bad guy, but I don't remember anyone really ever associating Cobra Commander and even the hooded version at any point in its history as being part of the KKK. So, but I think that is the fear with Hasbro corporate, and so they've just deemed it's not socially acceptable to do the hood anymore, and I just don't think we're going to see that. So, I mean, there are a lot of, people who will print these out for you. This is a custom job for me that I bought online. A customizer off of Instagram, and I can't find his email, so I apologize. I've forgotten his name, but he did a really good job with it. But there's a lot of guys out there that will print these out on digital printers, and, they'll paint them up and what have you. And, you can see, this looks pretty good on this figure. So if you really want a hooded Cobra Commander, there are definitely ways you can go about it. And I mean, it wasn't like hundreds of dollars to get the head. I want to say it was like maybe 50 or less, something in that neighborhood. So, I mean, it's a little pricey, but definitely, if you want a hood for your Cobra Commander, there are ways you can do it. But I just don't think Hasbro is going to officially ever do one, at least not in the near future. And I agree. I think it's kind of a stupid thing. I think it's over paranoia, but it is what it is, and we can ask for it, and we can complain about it, and we can say it's stupid until we're blue in the face. But I think the corporate. The people in Hasbro corporate have made up their mind on that, and I don't. It's kind of like the environmental packaging. We can scream about it, we can complain about it, but unless everyone just quit buying their product, which I don't see really happening, I don't think they're going to change their minds on those things. Yeah, $30. I think that's what I paid around. That's what I paid for mine plus shipping. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of talented customizers out there who I think will hook you up if if you really want one. I mean, the reason why I could maybe even get the association with the KKK in the hood, but the thing is Cobra Commander is a bad guy. He's a piece of crap terrorist who is basically trying to rule the world. I mean, let's be honest. So I just feel like you know just accept that he's a bad guy and he wears a hood and get over it, but that's just me. And like I said, I don't think Cobra corporate or Cobra corporate Hasbro corporate is going to change their mind on that. Yeah, Megatron in his gun mode, that has more to do with safety regulations. That's not really Hasbro per se. That's safety regulations. Back in the 80s, toy companies could make toy guns like that. You could go out and buy, guns to play, guns, you know, go around pretending to shoot each other as a kid, but you can't really do that anymore. Those types of guns get in the hands, and it's hard for cops to tell whether it's real or not. That's why they started. They would put the orange caps on them or paint them brightly colored colors. But I think especially in today with all the gun violence out there, that I don't put on Hasbro. That's just, and I think there are legitimate reasons for the whole gun thing, but now, guns on action figures with the Warner Brother thing is another case of just overreaction, in my opinion. But again, you know, large corporation, somebody up high in the corporate structure made that decision, and likely, no amount of complaining or what have you is going to change that. Oh yeah, the original G1 Megatron in his gun mode, yeah, would in the dark would be very hard to tell is not a real gun. Cobra. Yeah, Chris Latta was the original Cobra Commander voice, also Starscream, a great, he did I mean, let's be honest. Starscream and Cobra Commander as popular today as they are because of him and the personalities that he brought to those characters. So, yeah, he was one of the greats when it comes to voice acting. I've never heard that about the Iron Cross, though I guess that would explain why they're always trying to make it an H as opposed to the original symbol. But I've never heard it framed that way, so I take your word for it. But I've never actually heard that. I a lot of these things that we see when it comes to the actual stuff that's going out to the young kids, I think is perfectly understandable to want to change. Where I think there's a line though. So, something like, say, this HasLab campaign, only adults are buying this. There aren't kids going out and buying this. So if they threw in a hooded Cobra Commander with this HasLab campaign, you know, nobody's going to say anything, in my opinion. I mean, well, nobody of it's the internet. I'm sure somebody might say something, but so I'm not gonna say nobody. But I don't think there'd be this huge outcry of people screaming if Hasbro released a hooded Cobra Commander figure through something like HasLab. But like you take the CGI He-Man series, and if they want to change the symbol to, which is made for primarily for kids, and if they want to change the symbol to an H, I think it's kind of silly, but I could maybe understand that a little bit more. So I think there's this line that some companies, and especially big companies like Hasbro and Mattel, where they still have difficulty drawing that line between adult collectibles and stuff made for kids. And they're always gearing the stuff. We look at Marvel Legends as a line for adult collectors, but the honest to God truth is that Hasbro very much still hopes and tries to get kids and their parents to buy the Marvel Legends stuff as well. So, they're still trying to cater to both of those demographics with 90% of their product lines that they put out there. Same thing with DC Multiverse. I mean, we look at it as an adult collector line, but the truth is they are sold on the exact same shelf with all the other toys that are made for kids. So, that's why the gun thing is there, I guess. But why McFarlane can't do some figures with guns that they sell directly, like on their own store, or direct online at like a Big Bad Toy Store at Entertainment Earth, where kids are not, that's not where kids are shopping. That it's where it gets a little ridiculous to me. Is Warner Brothers defending Ezra Miller, or are they just being silent about it and not having done anything that would cost them a shit ton of money, like cancel the Flash movie or try and reshoot the Flash movie with a different actor? There's a difference. But yes, that anything with the Ezra Miller situation has to do with money. Money is always going to talk. Bullshit's gonna walk. So the amount of money Warner Brothers would take a hit on if they canceled that Flash movie, or they tried to reshoot all the scenes with Ezra Miller in it, that would just be prohibitively expensive. So unless the guy goes out and kills people, my view is they're gonna go on with that movie as planned. Now they probably will never use him again. The Flash movie is probably the last time we'll ever see Ezra Miller in a Warner Brothers movie, but they're not, in my view, I mean, this is my opinion, but they're not going to cancel that movie unless they absolutely have to. Yeah, I mean, yes, when it comes down to it, it is almost always about the money, at least in my opinion. But see, I don't know if the Flash movie is going to bomb, because I mean, it's still, I I don't feel like at this stage the people who want to see this movie, especially for those who want to see Michael Keaton return as Batman, I don't think anybody's going to sit out this movie regardless of what they think of Ezra Miller. Or a very small number of people, I think, would actually not go see this movie simply because of Ezra Miller. Now, if he goes and, like I said, if he went and killed somebody or something like that, and I have not followed every aspect of the Ezra Miller thing, so I don't know what the latest shenanigans he's been up to. I know he had some issues with people in Hawaii at a bar or something, but like if he killed somebody, yeah, that would be the end. I don't think they'd have a choice but to, or if he got arrested, like actually arrested, like sentenced to a long jail term for doing something, not just like spending the night in jail, but you know what I mean. So if he raped somebody or something like that, then they would probably have no choice. But I feel like at this point, most people who want to see that movie, and again, I think the primary driving force behind that movie is going to be, Michael Keaton's return as Batman. They're still going to go see that movie. Um, I mean, all the Ezra Miller memes in the world, I don't think it's going to really change that. Now, if the movie sucks, if it's just even with Michael Keaton Batman, if it's just horrible and it gets panned and people start to go see it and they come out of the theater and say, "Oh my God, this was a horrible piece of crap movie," that will hurt the movie definitely. But I feel like, especially if it's good in any way, you know, Ezra Miller or not, people are going to go see that movie. I know he has. I'm just saying I have not been following him that closely, so I'm not up on everything that he has done. But I've not heard anything like he's killed somebody or something a lot, or that he's been like sent away to jail. You know, everything I hear is, indicates, he's doing dumbass shit, and definitely sounds like he needs some psychological help. But nothing to the point where like he's going to go to jail for the rest of his life or something. Now, again, I definitely say that where I'm not following the tabloids or all the headlines about him. I've pretty much, like, the guy definitely, I feel like, needs some serious psychological help. And it's amazing to me that, Warner Brothers didn't vet the guy better before they even brought him on board as the Flash. But, there you go. Yeah, and I mean, I agree. I don't think they're going to cancel the Flash movie, but I don't think you're going to see Ezra Miller ever again as the Flash. So, well, I mean, Michael Keaton returning as Batman, I mean, for folks like myself who grew up, on the original Batman movie, I mean, yeah, we've been waiting for Michael Keaton to return as Batman since, Batman Returns. So, I mean, I hear all kinds of rumors, but I really, I don't. Ezra Miller was the star of that movie, so there's no way you're going to really, unless you just scrap the whole thing and start it over. Which again, the amount of money that would cost would be tremendous. Um, I don't think there's really any way to minimize his role in the movie. So I think they're gonna either go forward with it and hope for the best, and then get rid of Ezra Miller and recast him with somebody else, or or like I said, just cancel it and take the loss. But I don't think they're going to cancel it and take the loss unless they absolutely have to. He was in that movie, Fantastic Beast. Of course, that movie bombed, but not because of Ezra Miller. I think that was more of Johnny Depp being removed from the movie. I watched that on HBO Max, the Fantastic Beast movie. It wasn't horrible, it wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I have it. I was in Walmart. I think, yeah, yesterday. They didn't have any, so I haven't seen them. I suspect they'll go up online during the Walmart Collector Con. So if you can't find them in physical stores, my guess is that they'll be officially announced and go up online, uh, later this month during the Walmart Collector Con. Yeah, I saw that the Elliot Page thing, but I don't know. I, I feel like Elliot Page is a little too short for Flash. So I like them in the Umbrella Academy, but I just don't think they're a good fit for Flash. Robin maybe, but not Flash. I don't know. I've never been a huge Harry Potter fan. I've never read the books. I saw the movies. I thought the movies were okay, but I didn't think they were like as good as a lot of people say they are. So I'm not the right person to ask about Harry Potter, but Ben, I have seen those. So I saw Superwoman for the first time at Target this week. I have it on pre-order, so I didn't feel a need to buy it in store. But I did see that figure for the first time at a physical Target store this week. And the Superman one has been out there for a while. Nah, man. Hard, even before COVID and all the shipping issues, hard ship dates very rarely ever applied to toys. It's not like DVDs or things like that, where like a new DVD or movie always comes out on a Tuesday or something. And toys have never had that, generally, have had that hard of a ship date. So, and then, with the recent happenings with all the shipping issues and COVID and all that, I mean, that's made it even worse. But the toy, it's very rare where you can go like, okay, on this day, you're going to be able to go into any store and find this product on the shelf. And one of the reasons why that is because when the companies put these embargo dates on the stuff, and then get it out early to the stores so they have it ready to go on the embargo date, the stores then just go around and ignore the embargo dates and they throw it up, they throw the stuff out on shelves early. And so then things leak out early and so on and so forth. So he's been in talks for Wolverine. I don't know if it's confirmed. Well, it hasn't been confirmed that he's got the role, but he's definitely seems to be trying to play it up to try and get that role. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Me and my wife have had long discussions about that kind of thing. So, though I will be honest with you, I forget I always forget that they changed their name to Elliot. I want to go and call them Ellen Page, and it's only because I just finished watching the Umbrella Academy season 3 that you know I recognize them as Elliot Page now. It's confusing, but I figure it's what they want. I'll respect their wishes. Which toy company would make great Rambo 6-inch figures? I don't know. Well, if you want 6-inch, you probably would need somebody like a Hasbro to make them. If somebody like NECO or McFarlane made them, then they'd be 7-inch. So I forget what was Destro's company is Mars, but I forget what Tomax and Zamont's company was. I'm pretty sure they had an actual company name, but I forget what it was. Whereas Cobra used to own their own town, Springfield. Anyone ever live? I wonder if people actually lived in the town Springfield, thought of themselves as part of Cobra. That was before Cobra got their own island. Yeah, somebody always says, well, Hasbro should get the DC license, but I just, as long as they have the Marvel license, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Unless Disney bought DC as well, I don't think that would ever happen. Yes, that actor's original name was Ellen Page. You're correct, and was in the X-Men movie. Started out in the Umbrella Academy as Ellen Page, the first two seasons, but is now Elliot Page. Extensive Enterprises. Thank you. I knew they had their own name. 3M, I don't have a problem with McFarlane making DC figures. Some people seem to, but I don't. I don't know if it'd be a monopoly, but I mean the reason why I don't think you're going to see Hasbro ever get the DC license as long as they're doing Marvel is I don't think Disney would want the same company, you know, making their product for Marvel as their competitor with Warner Brothers and DC. So I think, you get one or the other, but I don't think you're going to have it where you get both. Again, unless like Disney were to buy DC Comics or somebody else was to buy Marvel or something. But it would take somebody owning both DC and Marvel, I think, to see the same toy company making for their main lines, making both Marvel and DC figures. Do I prefer Slag or Slug? I think Slag is. I mean, I grew up on the original line, so I always think of him as Slag. But I understand that in the UK, Slag is a derogatory term, so I understand why they changed the name. But in my mind, I still think of him as Slag, and I never associated Slag with in a derogatory manner. So, but the thing of it is about a lot of that stuff is, so for me personally, slag is not derogatory. It was never a derogatory name. It wasn't a derogatory term. So to me, it was never a big deal. But I can view, I can understand, I can look at other people's perspectives on these things and understand, okay, if I was in the UK, that might be considered derogatory. And so it's probably not the best to have a toy named after that. So I can understand that kind of reasoning, even though for me personally, it doesn't bother me. Even with the hooded Cobra Commander, I've never had to fear being lynched by the KKK. So, and no, I never associated Cobra Commander with the KKK. But, if somebody at some point in their life or had family members in their life who had to live in fear, which, you easily go back to 60s and such, where that was very common, being lynched by the KKK, seeing something that brings up that memory, I can understand could be painful and not something that a company would want to be associated with. So I can take myself out, even though for me personally, because, I didn't grow up having to fear stuff like that, it doesn't bother me, but I can also look at it from other perspectives. So I still think, when it comes to like the Cobra Commander, especially when you're talking about something sold directly to the adult collector consumer, I think it's definitely going overboard. So I also see that very much, but I can also understand why a company might be reluctant to want to have that association. But to answer the original question, when I look at that Dinobot, the first name that comes to my mind is Slag. Does it bother me that they've changed it to Slug? Not really, because frankly, I can still call it Slag. And I got sludged this week at Target. I found sludge uh, at Target this week, so I was pretty happy about that. I don't see. I mean, Playmates is pretty much has, I don't see, unless Playmates decided they wanted to drop that license, I don't see anyone else being the primary license holder for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles other than Playmates Toys. Yeah. And to be fair, nobody would even care about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures if it wasn't for Playmates Toys. I know a lot of people will hammer Playmates for not making more collector oriented stuff, but the truth is, they made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles what it is, played a large role in making it what it is today. I don't want to go too much off on this subject because then we're going to start getting into politics and things like that, and I really don't want this turning into that. But I will say, like with many things, there are legitimate reasons for doing some things, but oftentimes, whether it's going far off to the left or far off to the right, people have this tendency to take things too far to the point where it kind of nullifies what they were trying to accomplish anyway. And yeah, so some of these things I definitely feel like, is going too far, but I also understand to some extent, the reason why some of these things do have negative connotations. I've not heard that. I don't know. I mean, Hasbro just did a Marvel Legend Punisher figure not too long ago with the skull, so I haven't heard anything about the Punisher skull no longer being able to be used. I mean, Slave One is another one of those things where whenever I see that ship, I'm going to call it Slave One. That is what I think of when I see it. If Disney and Hasbro want to change the names to Boba Fett Starship, more power to them. But when I see it, I'm likely going, just out of habit for no other reason, I'm going to refer to it as Slave One. And I've never once heard somebody be offended by the fact that the ship was called Slave One. Now, also, though, part of that is not just because it's got the word slave in it, but I think there's also just this idea that they're trying to make Boba Fett a good guy. Boba Fett was a bad guy. He flew a ship that essentially was used to cart around prisoners that he captured to be put into slave trade or whatever, or killed or whatever. And now they're trying to make Boba Fett a good guy. So a good guy flying around in a ship called Slave One probably isn't the best image, but regardless of what they call it, I will always refer to that ship as Slave One. So it doesn't bother me. It's not. I think it's kind of silly, but at the same time, I'm not going to get outraged over it because they changed the name. The name of it. What is the tow hitch on the HISS tank for? Well, the original HISS tank had the tow hitch, so it's in keeping with the original toy. At this point, there is no point to it, but certainly down the road, Hasbro may release additional vehicles and stuff that the HISS tank might be able to tow. So, at this very moment, there isn't much use for the tow hitch, but it was something included with the original toy and is something that, maybe will become usable at a later time. That was a lot. You're talking about the Superior Spider-Man. I actually thought that was a good storyline. So I actually ended up, that was one of the better, more modern storylines that I remember reading. Now I haven't read, like I know Doc Ock's alive again somehow and all that, so I haven't been keeping up with all that. But the original Superior Spider-Man story, I actually thought was pretty good. Blake, let's be honest. If Hasbro gave us a hooded Cobra Commander, never helmet Cobra Commander, people complain about it too. We're just spoiled. We collectors are overreacting. Well, the internet is there for people to complain. That's 100% correct. So, going Lance over here. All right, so his tank is now over 15,000 backers. We are now up to 15,028. So my prediction is we'll hit 16,000 probably mid morning tomorrow, mid to late morning. Blade Runner. The internet is for porn. Ben from the bunker. Hasbro got scammed into paying for the tow back. It's not like, yes, I have a custom made hooded Cobra Commander head. It's not a third party because it didn't come from a company, just an individual customizer who I think created it on a digital printer and then painted it up. But yes, I do have a custom made hooded Cobra Commander head. Did I ever get the mega figure swap thing? And if so, refresh my memory on what is the mega figure swap. Yeah, it came out really nice. And he did like black ones. So like if you have the black and gold Cobra Commander, he did some hooded heads with black as well. And I would tell you his name if I remembered it off the top of my head. I mentioned his name, and I think I even maybe put a link to him in one of my older videos when I first got it. But Alex, I have no idea. I'm thinking probably somebody more modern than like a Michael Jordan, but I have no idea who it's going to be. And I frankly am not a huge NBA fan, so I'm not really up to all my NBA players. But I have not heard anything about specifics other than Hasbro said it was going to be an NBA figure. What's up, Henry? I didn't know the retro Cobra Commander unlock is going to be a newly sculpted figure. That's pretty. Yep. I mean, none of us did until just a couple hours ago. They just announced it. I think eventually, Turtle Dave, we could see an armored Cobra Commander. So give it some time. Oh snap! Yes, there should be a new X-Men Beast figure. I believe it's going to be on X-Men Retro card back. I think it'll have the lab coat. I don't know how it will differ from the previous Beast figure, other than it will have a lab coat, I'm pretty sure, and be on an X-Men Retro card back. But yes, there should be a new X-Men Marvel Legend Beast coming. I suspect we'll probably see it announced later this month. That might have been it. Aero Custom sounds familiar, so possibly. That's one of the guys I follow on Instagram, so that might be. No. And I think they'll do Major League Baseball, probably NFL as well. They just said they're starting off with NBA. I mean, they didn't say they were definitely doing other leagues, but they didn't say they were only doing NBA either. And I suspect they will definitely do other leagues. The ass would have been better, but there's just no way. That's a vehicle in its own right. So that's something that Hasbro will likely do at some point, and that's something that you probably will then be able to hook onto the back of your HISS tank when they do it. But that likely is something that they would release at regular retail or like as a Target exclusive or something, not as a HasLab, and way too, if they did it right, would be way too complex to be an add-on to an existing HasLab. So as cool as it would be, there was just very little chance that they were ever going to make that a stretch goal. But I do think somewhere down the line, we could definitely see that done for the classified line. HasLab basketball court. That would be pretty funny. I don't think anyone's ever done that with like sports figures, like made actual playing fields, like a basketball court or a baseball diamond or a football field. That would actually be kind of interesting. I mean, I'm not really into sports figures, so, but that would actually be kind of interesting. I had a tarantula as a pet. Well, actually, my sister had a tarantula as a pet when we were kids, and it got out one day. And I hate spiders, so Turtle Dave, I did pre-order the Duke, the Tiger Force Duke and Ram Cycle. So yes. And for those of you not familiar, it went up for pre-order today. That Tiger Force Duke and Ram Cycle at Target. Hasbro Pulse had some limited, but I think it's still available at Target as of right now. In fact, I'll check. Yep. If you want it, it's still available on Target's website. The Duke and Ram Cycle and Tiger Force colors. I mean, some companies I've seen do like basketball goals, but I've never seen like a full like it would have if they did like a basketball court. I mean, you would need to have like bleachers. You'd need to have like a big giant scoreboard at the top. So you'd have to have some type of rafting and and then the goals. but that would actually be kind of cool. Like I said, I don't really collect sports figures, but that would be a cool thing to see. I don't know if I'd buy one, but it would definitely be kind of cool to see something like that. HoloNet says he's going to wait till it goes on clearance. It probably will. I would not be surprised if that ends up. It probably will initially sell out online, but when it starts showing up at physical stores and stuff, kind of like the Breaker, I think you might get a shot at it on clearance. Or that's something you might end up seeing like a year from now, made available at other places like a Big Bad Toy Store or what have you. Bod Biker said the fourth tier made me back to Hiss. First time double dipping on a HasLab. Oh, number two. So you got two Hiss tanks. Yeah, I will be honest with you. I've actually been contemplating whether I want to try and pick up a second one. Um, so I haven't made that decision, but it is tempting. Spirit, it's a nice figure, man. Hope you enjoy it. Cobra, Cobra Officer out of that wave is my least favorite, but it's not bad. And then that Storm Shadow is like that Storm Shadow figure I still think is like near perfect. And I got somebody hook me up from overseas with Crimson Guard twins. So I'm hoping to have Tomax and Zaymot in hand by early next week. And still waiting. Unfortunately, it's looking more and more like GameStop was full of shit about getting ready to ship out the Dusty and Zorana figures. So I've not gotten any shipping updates on that. So I'm thinking that's probably not, those are not going to be shipping out soon from GameStop. I'm going to give them till like next week. And if they haven't shipped them out by then, I'm going to cancel my pre-orders. Silver Surfer. The Man Bat is the sculpting detail in that figure is really nice. The wings are not super articulated, so the wings are kind of, you can't do a whole lot with. And then at least on mine, the ankles were super loose, and so the figure will not stand on its own power very well. It's super top heavy as it is, and then the ankles joints on mine were super loose, so I have to keep mine basically leaned against the back of the display cabinet, otherwise it would fall over. But the sculpting detail on it is really nice. It's like the nicest looking Man Bat figure I think I own, but it would have been nice if they'd made the wings a little more articulated, and then they should have made sure those ankle joints were super tight. Oh no, Blake. Hopefully they're going to be forwarded on to you, I hope. But that sucks. Blake says, I see the classified line holding their value if they continue their quality of the figures. Classified is one, I mean, I'm a G.I. Joe fan, so obviously if you're not a G.I. Joe fan, classified's probably not going to be as appealing to you. But for me, as a G.I. Joe fan, classified I think is my favorite action figure line on the market right now. It's I would put it G.I. Joe Classified, probably Marvel Legends. I've been digging a lot of the Transformers 86 Studio Series stuff, the He-Man Masterverse stuff, and then Origins, and yeah, those are probably my favorite lines right now. But G.I. Joe Classified is 100% up there at the top. I got my Jatara figure, got her displayed on my shelf, so only main Thundercat character, Like I know some people want Bengali. I don't have a super attachment to Bengali. I probably will get him, but Snarf is really the only. And I have the twins. I have Wily Kit and Wily Cat from Mattel. So only one I'm needing now is Snarf. Yeah, and that's a tribute to the original Parker Brothers Atari game, which I actually have still. Um, but that like there was an advertisement on the back of magazines and stuff that had Cobra Commander holding that globe with the snake around it. So that's what that's a nod to. But yeah, Super 7 did it first. Yeah, Chitara, I thought it came out pretty good. I don't have any major complaints. The only thought that crossed my mind when I was kind of doing with her is it would have been cool if they had given us some type of running effect piece that you could attach to the back. They gave us the head sculpt with the hair, but if they had given us some type of like, whooshing kind of running effect piece, that would have been cool. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty good figure. Turtle Day, it is a weird. All you like, you've got the big cobra head that goes back and forth at the top, and yeah, that was a weird game for sure. My favorite Parker Brothers Atari games was either the Star Wars AT-AT game, which never ended. Didn't matter how many AT-ATs you blew up, there would always be a new one that would pop up. So that game had no ending, but it was still kind of a cool game. And then the Spider-Man one, where you had to do yourself up the building and fight Green Goblin. Those are my favorite Parker Brothers. Well, and Cubert. You always got to put Cubert in there with Parker Brothers. What's up, Stinkfist? Yeah, Thunder Tank's been delayed till November. The GI Joe Classified Wave One figures were delayed, at least through Big Bad Toy Store. I assume they're probably delayed through Super Seven as well. But I mean, I don't think anyone can say they're shocked that these are being delayed. But yes, it is now official. Yeah, Cubert's the shit. I have it actually on that machine back there that's the Donkey Kong cabinet. It's got more than just Donkey Kong on there. It's in Cubert's one of the games. So I definitely play that from time to time. But Cubert was like an arcade game, whereas like the Spider-Man, the G.I. Joe, and the Star Wars AT-AT game, those were all console games. I believe first to come out on the Atari 2600. Yeah, Bengali for the Thundercat side, and then we need Jackalman, or not Jackalman, but Vulture Man for the mutant side. What's up, Darth? Who do I think's the fastest? The Flash, Quicksilver, Sonic, the Hedgehog, Dash, or Cheetara? I'm gonna go with the Flash just because Flash can like time travel. He runs so fast he time travels. I don't think any of those other characters have ever time traveled, so I'm gonna give it to Flash. I don't remember a GI Joe arc like a full size arcade cabinet. I think I've seen some pictures, but I don't remember ever seeing one in the arcade. But I don't, and I also don't think it was the same game as the cartridge, the Parker Brothers cartridge game, where it was just the Cobra head that you would try and shoot. I haven't heard that it was delayed till 2023. unless you mean like the original release date. But I've been seeing people already getting that figures from overseas, so I don't think that figure will take until 2023 to get out. Darth, you're gonna break down and get it, man. I mean, you're definitely. I think you're getting your money's worth. I did not. I remember seeing that, but I never owned the GI Joe train set. In fact, I never really ever got into like electronic trains. My dad, as a kid, used to uh, collect trains like that, but that was never anything I ever got into as a kid. I I I'm gonna have to Google that because I have never seen like an actual GI Joe. I mean, I think I've seen like a picture, but I wasn't even sure if it was real. But I've never like seen in person or seen the actual gameplay of a GI Joe cabinet arcade game. It's the same thing with like He-Man. I've seen images from time to time of what looks like some type of Masters of the Universe cabinet game, but I wasn't sure if that was somebody's custom job or what, because that's not something I ever remember seeing in the arcades as a kid. Diecast toy tractors. That's pretty cool. At a very young age, I collected like Hot Wheels and stuff, but I've never really been into like the diecast cars or anything like that. All right, Turtle Dave, thanks for dropping in, buddy. Much appreciated. I've got Lando Calrissian figures sitting on the pegs at my Walmart, and Target had like have a few like figures, but nothing new. I did see the vintage collection Obi-Wan and Reva figures at Target yesterday. You have like you have you have an arcade cabinet of GI Joe, or this is something on a console. I did have a on my Commodore 64. I did have a GI Joe game on that. I don't really remember it too well. I still actually have the game, but I don't remember it. But I don't remember any arcade cabinet GI Joe games. HasLab's up to 15,054 backers. Yeah, the Wandering Jedi Obi-Wan and the Reva figures I saw at Target, and I believe Amazon has them in stock as well. So if you want to just order them online, I believe you can get them from there. Just those two, but yes, those figures have started to hit. Yeah, the original Transformers had diecast. A lot of them had diecast metal in them. Yeah, I mean just like portions of them. So, but yes. Well, Big Bad Toy Store has shipped out some bats and alley vipers because I got my bat and alley viper from them a while back. But again, they probably just got in limited quantity, so it's probably they're sending them out first come first serve. The only GoBot figure I owned as a kid was Leader One, which I still actually have, but I never had any of the other GoBots. I don't know off the top of my head when that's going to be released. Rashid, your Ahsoka Mandalorian figure. Nice. I found that, I think it was last month at a Target store in North Carolina. Like I picked up that whole wave. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to Google that and look at it because I don't remember that at all. Cosmic Wasp. Yes, I have tickets to go see Thor Love and Thunder on Saturday with my wife. So I will be seeing it this weekend. I didn't feel a need to rush out like tonight to see it. And honestly, I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews on it. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet. No spoilers if you have, but I'm my expectations on it, I'm keeping kind of medium tone. So I feel like I like Thor Ragnarok, but I felt like they overdid the comedy a bit, and I feel like they're definitely gonna have done that again with this one. So Omega Maximus. Why did Transformers succeed where GoBots failed? I think there's a number of reasons. First of all, Transformers had a large following already overseas. And then the toys themselves were just much better quality. They were bigger in general and just, I think, better quality. So, and Hasbro, I think, just put more emphasis on Transformers than Mattel. I think it was Mattel, right? With GoBots. Transformers when they first came out was like one of the hottest toy lines on the like they were right up there with Cabbage Patch Kids in popularity where like you would see on the news parents fighting to get the last ones off the shelf for Christmas. So Transformers was a really popular toy line when it first came out. That is true. That those I agree with you. The cartoon, but the comics as well. Having Marvel do those comics, I think really helped them. Oh yeah, Tonka, you're right. But didn't I get confused? But didn't Mattel own Tonka or I hope Thor Love and Thunder will be good. I just the reviews I've been seeing online from folks that have already seen it have been kind of mixed. And like I said, while I like Thor Ragnarok, I felt like they overdid. I don't mind a little comedy thrown in, but I felt like they kind of overdid it a little bit on Thor Ragnarok. It was still a good movie. It had great, with the fight scenes with Hulk and Thor and everything. So I still like it overall, but my main complaint with that movie was I thought they overdid the comedy a little bit. And I feel like they didn't correct that with this movie. In fact, they might have made it even more comedic this time around. So Yeah, but who owned Tonka? Was Tonka still an independent company? I don't remember. But somebody else owns Tonka Toys now. I can't remember if it's Hasbro or Mattel that bought Tonka Toys, but Crasher to me was always like a female, like a car version of Baroness. I don't know why I always kind of associated Crasher with Baroness, but Optimus Prime definitely over Leader One. I actually like. I mean, I like Megatron too, but I actually like Psykill. I thought he was a pretty good bad guy. I liked his voice, but like you had Scooter, which was their annoying character, and he was more annoying than Bumblebee. So he was Scooter was more annoying than Bumblebee and Spike put together. So yeah, and I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind injecting some comedy into the movies and having it doesn't have to be super dark, but you can overdo it. And I felt like they kind of they came right up to that line and maybe went a little bit over with Thor Ragnarok. I mean, some movies like a Deadpool that works 100%. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, you can kind of get away with that, but with Thor, I felt like they kind of pushed it a little too much in Ragnarok, and I feel like they maybe went even farther with this one. Yeah, they did have similar color schemes, and it was almost like kind of like their faces. The thing for me, I've said this before. Where I lived when I was a kid, these cartoons basically ran in syndication. So GoBots, for whatever reason, aired very late in the morning, weekday mornings where I lived. And so unless I stayed home from school sick or something, I was in school by the time GoBots would come on TV. Whereas like Transformers and G.I. Joe came on originally when they first aired, they came on in the afternoons after I was home from school. So it was more than anything, it was just the time of day that those cartoons came on that allowed me to watch, Transformers and GI Joe as opposed to not really being able to watch a lot of the GoBots. I would if I stayed home from school sick, I would watch GoBots, but that was about it. So, well, that's like, and that scene by itself was kind of funny, but at the same time, that was really corny. And I agree, that was one of those scenes in that movie where I felt like they were kind of taking it too far. So, outdated animation, Beast Wars, when it first aired, I think was top quality. I mean, it wasn't traditional animation, and I think, including myself, maybe I wasn't as interested in Beast Wars because it wasn't traditional animation, it was the CGI stuff. But I mean, I think technology wise, that was pretty, top of the line when that first aired. But I was in high school by the time Beast Wars came out, so I wasn't watching TV nearly as much, and I never got into Beast Wars when it originally came out. Yeah, it was always like you watch, like if you watch the end credits of, like, say, the Transformers movie, and like at the end of the credits the Marvel sign comes up and it's got like Spider-Man sitting on top of it. I always thought I never realized when I was a kid that the cartoon was actually in part produced by Marvel. I knew the comics were, and it was the Transformer comics that got me into other Marvel titles. I think it was like when Spider-Man, guest starred in Transformers #3 that really kind of got me interested in Spider-Man as a comic. I mean, I was familiar with Spider-Man from the cartoons and everything, but I don't think I really started reading Spider-Man comics until after that Transformers issue. And the GI Joe, I mean, the GI Joe before the cartoon, there was the GI Joe comic commercials, which I think GI Joe is the only comic book that ever had TV commercials on network television. But they would do those little mini cartoons to promote the comic, and those little mini cartoons for the comic were almost as good as the actual cartoon episodes that they ended up doing. But that, yeah, those are definitely things that got me kind of really interested in GI Joe. Sure. They made you watch Captain Planet. Captain Planet, I was older. I was in high school when that came out, so that's another one that I never really watched. Yeah, the Rock Lords. All right, well, we're getting on to about 8 o'clock, so I think we're gonna wrap it up. But just your final tally as of right now for the HasLab H.I.S.S tank is 15,063. So we've got just under 1,000 to go before the Cobra Commander, the retro Cobra Commander, is unlocked. I suspect that will happen tomorrow at some point. I'm still I'm still putting it probably mid to late morning. It'll break 16, but we'll see. But I definitely think sometime tomorrow it'll break the 16,000 mark. I think Captain Planet was more 90s, early 90s, I want to say. Maybe late 80s, early 90s. Jarrett, assuming you got the money and everything, I think, I think it's definitely a good investment. All right, guys. Yeah. So thanks for joining in tonight. We'll be back. Should be back tomorrow with a news video. So hopefully I'll have an update on the H.I.S.S tank, being able to tell you that Cobra Commander is fully funded. But yeah, thanks for joining tonight. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, though I suspect most of you already have who are here. And stay safe out there. And until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification to alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.